Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video. In this one, I'm going to be outlining as well as discussing the ultimate best class setup for the RAM7 assault rifle here in Call of Duty Warzone. So of course guys, welcome back to a brand new Warzone best class setup video here on the channel, and I must admit, it's been quite a little while since the last time that I made one of these videos. However, the reason why I wanted to talk about the RAM7 today, and that's just because a lot of people have been using it recently, and I must admit, in the current state of Warzone, the RAM7 is honestly a top tier assault rifle and it is a lot of fun to use. And interestingly enough, the RAM7 is a little bit older of a DLC assault rifle in this game, being that we originally saw the RAM7 released with Season 1 of Call of Duty Modern Warfare back in late 2019. Now, one thing that I always found interesting about the RAM7, and that's the RAM has always existed throughout the entire life cycle of Warzone, being that it was of course added into the game a couple months before Warzone officially released. However, in that time, the RAM7 has kind of faded in and out of relevancy. For example, right at the initial launch of Warzone, a lot of people were using the RAM7, and then later on in July, just after the GRAW did end up getting nerfed, a lot of people switched over to the RAM7 and it kind of became meta for a very short amount of time. And of course, after the major weapon overhaul update that we did end up seeing a couple weeks ago, a lot of people are now turning back and checking out the RAM7 assault rifle once again, and I'm one of those people. Let me just say the RAM7 is honestly a lot of fun to use in Warzone. It's a really powerful assault rifle. It is absolutely no recoil, and I really enjoy using it. So that's to come. I wanted to check it out in today's video. So with that said, if you guys want to enjoy this one, make sure you leave a like on it down below, as well as subscribe and turn post notifications so that way you guys will not miss any of the latest and greatest Call of Duty news, class slips, and all kinds of things like that. So without further ado, now that I got the intro out of the way, let's dive right into it. And alright guys, so of course to kick off today's video, let's talk a little bit about the RAM7 assault rifle. If you weren't already aware, the RAM7 is of course a Modern Warfare weapon, and how you originally unlocked it was by making up to tier 31 in the Season 1 Battle Pass. Now that said, if you guys never played Season 1 of Call of Duty Modern Warfare and you didn't unlock the RAM7 back then, you can still unlock the weapon now, being that you just need to complete a very simple challenge, which states you need to get 2 headshots using assault rifles in 25 different matches. And of course, once you do that, you are going to be unlocking the RAM7. And honestly, this isn't really too hard of a challenge if you are going to be playing Modern Warfare multiplayer. However, it will be a little bit more tricky if you are trying to complete it in Warzone. Now, with that out of the way, now let's talk a little bit about the attributes of the RAM7. One thing that I really like about the RAM7, and one major attribute about it, is its very consistent damage, fast fire rate, as well as extremely low recoil. And frankly, the great thing about the RAM7 is you can really play however you want when using this weapon. For example, since the RAM has a rather fast fire rate as well as very low recoil, it means that you can perform very well at those medium to longer range engagements. And as you guys are going to be seeing throughout the gameplay, I'm absolutely sniping and lasering people out of the sky using the RAM7, and it's really not that hard at all. However, with that said, since the RAM7 has a rather fast fire rate as well as pretty solid hip fire accuracy, as a lot of Modern Warfare weapons have that, it means that this weapon is very good at close range, and you can sometimes use it like a submachine gun. And at least in my own experience, I really like pairing it with the KAR98K sniper rifle, because you can pull out the KAR98K, you can snipe people at those long range engagements and then finish them off using the RAM7. And then of course, for those close to medium range engagements, you can use the RAM7 and absolutely dominate. So with that said, now let's actually talk a little bit about the class stuff, which is on your screen right now. So let's break it down a little bit. Of course, my primary weapon, I will be using the legendary Corruptor blueprint for the RAM7. Now this particular blueprint for the RAM7 you got by making up to tier 100 in the Season 1 Battle Pass. However, of course, if you don't have this particular blueprint, it's really not too big of a deal. You can just use the standard variation and you'll be good to go. Moving on down, for my secondary weapon, I will be using the KAR98K sniper rifle with absolutely no blueprint on it. I'm just going to be using the base variation. For my perk setup, I will be using EOD Overkill and Battle Harden. My lethal will of course be the throwing knife, as that's what everyone is using in Warzone in terms of lethals. And then for my tactical, of course, I will be using the heartbeat sensor. So now let's move on down and talk a little bit about the attachments that I am going to be running on my RAM7. Of course, my first attachment, I will be using the monolithic suppressor, as well as be increasing the sound suppression as well as damage range, and it's honestly a really solid attachment no matter what Modern Warfare weapon you are going to be using in multiplayer as well as Warzone. With that said, for my second attachment, I will be using the FSS Ranger Barrel, which will be increasing the damage range, bullet velocity, as well as recoil control, and it's overall a really solid barrel for the RAM7, and it's just going to allow us to be a little bit more effective at those medium to longer range engagements. Moving on down, of course, my next attachment, I will be using the VLK 3x optic, and this goes without saying, of course, it is a really solid optic in this game, and it's just going to allow us to be a little bit more precise. And don't get me wrong, the RAM7 has some really solid iron sights. However, if you're trying to take out opponents at those longer range range engagements, you might struggle by just using the iron sights, so that's to come. I will be using the VLK 3x optic. So moving on down for my next attachment, I will be using the 50 round magazine, and of course we'll be bumping up the magazine size of this weapon from 30 to 50 rounds. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier in this video, the RAM7 has a pretty fast fire rate, especially if you compare it to other assault rifles in this game, and that's why you are going to be wanting to use the 50 round magazine, as it will be providing you with an additional 20 rounds of ammunition per magazine, which really adds up. And you'll notice that with the 50 round, you can very comfortably take out multiple opponents and finish them without having to worry about running out of ammunition. So with that said, now let's take a little bit of time and talk about the final attachment that I am going to be running on my RAM7, and that of course will be the Commando foregrip that will be increasing the recoil stabilization as well as aiming stability. And guys, of course, as I mentioned a little bit earlier in this video, I am going to be pairing the RAM7 assault rifle with the KARNAGE. So before I end off this video, I am going to be talking a little bit about the attachments that I am going to be running on my car, and they of course will be the monolithic suppressor, the Syncard custom 27.6 inch barrel, the tac laser, the sniper scope, as well as the stippled grip tape. So yeah guys, with that said, that's going to effectively wrap up today's video. If you guys haven't already, make sure you comment down below what are your thoughts on the RAM7 assault rifle, because at least my own opinion, I really enjoy using this particular assault rifle. It's a lot of fun, and if you guys haven't already checked it out, make sure you go ahead and do so. Honestly, I find it really interesting that after the weapon overhaul update, a lot of modern warfare weaponry that people haven't used for a very long time have really started recirculating, and a lot of people are using them. For example, weapons like the M4A1 carbine, the RAM7, and heck, even the GRA as well as the Bruin. So that's personally something that I find really good, and a lot of people have been mentioning that the current state of Warzone has actually been one of the most balanced points in terms of meta since the release of Warzone back in March of 2020, and because of that, it means that you can use a multitude of different weapons, for example the RAM7. So with that said, if you guys went on to enjoy today's video, make sure you leave a like on it down below, as well as subscribe and turn on post notifications, so that way you guys will not miss any of the latest and greatest Call of Duty news, class clips, and all kinds of things like that. So once again, that's going to effectively wrap up this video. I've been your host, Jungle, and I hope to see you in the next one.